Hey guys, Tommy Carrigan with Tommy Untamed. We've got a great show coming up. Thank you for watching. Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food, 72 servings per pail, 25 years shelf life. I've had the owner Clayton on the show before. He's a God-fearing, America-loving patriot. Get one of these, get a couple of them, throw them in your basement. It's good to have it, not need it, than to need it and not have it. If you don't want to do that, you can get their seeds. You can plant your own garden, so you don't even have to keep buying them. You can just get the goods and start your own, or you can even get freeze-dried fruits and vegetables like bananas, apples, strawberries, and raspberries. They support the show. It's an honest product. It's a good safety measure to have, and they keep my show free for you. So I'd implore you guys to please go to heavensharvest.com, use the link in the description, promo code TPC. Axios Fitness Coaching is a premium resource for holistic strength and conditioning services. Axios is best known for the Training Club, capital T, capital C, an exclusive community that prioritizes accountability, technique, diet, and nutrition. Everything you need to do to take action against the decay of the modern world. Whether you're looking to improve your physique, build strength, or just take care of your health and fitness, Axios will provide you with a solution that is effective and simple to execute. All you need to do is complete the intake survey, and you can see if you're a good candidate for the training club or any other of the services. And it's going to sponsor the show. So, one company falls off, another one arises. So if you guys like the show, you want to work out, throw the show a couple shekels. Go take the survey. Thank you so much, guys.
Higher ultraviolet exposure is associated with lower mortality. The United Kingdom is a high latitude and low sunlight country. Researchers there collected data on over 360,000 participants in a study of UV exposure via solarium use. When compared with non-users, solarium users had 15% risk lowered of all-cause mortality, 23% lower risk of cardiovascular mortality, 14% lower risk of cancer mortality, and a 12% lower risk of non-cardiovascular, non-cancer mortality. In other words, all other causes. Quoting the researchers, our study adds to the growing evidence that the benefits of UV exposure outweigh the risks in low sunlight environments. A link to the original publication is available in the box below the video. Get some UV light this winter. Immerse yourself in the tranquility of the blue. Visit a Blue Room soon. www.blueroom.com.
Could you please show everyone your book, tell them, and then introduce yourself, and then we'll just wing it.
No problem. I wrote a book called The Critical Imperative: Security and Emergency Management in Smart Cities. It can be found on Amazon, published links. And for myself, I'm Dr. Sean Carr. Nice to meet everyone. I am a former retired military, just like Mr. Dan Libby is out of the Air Force, with a background at that time in intelligence and law enforcement. Since then, retired out and trying to figure out how the other half of the population lives out here, and have been in industry for about 4 years now. And the background is mostly in security and emergency management, learning how to make it a safer place for us out here, not only for my family, but for organizations, industry, federal and state governments. But learning with technology, it's been fascinating with my research on what is ahead of us. And the two main points are what the good can be out of it for professionals in the security profession, but also the unfortunately criminal and evil intent that is coming to.
Yeah, I get that a lot with, yes, a lot of like the, fast speed military guys I have, Delta Force or Rangers or something. They always do say it in so many, if not verbatim, then in so many words. Like, how do you shift to this life? Like, jumping out of stealth helicopters at 2 a.m. and, being on a literal kill team versus like selling insurance. Um, Total, and I don't get it because I wasn't in the military, but I get it in theory. Does that also apply to something like kind of what you did I mean, I would imagine even just moving, let's just say for shits and giggles, even like the NSA to, let's say, I don't know, like Apple or Microsoft's, intelligence team or counter espionage team. In general, I feel like, yeah, it's probably got to feel like, if not a step down from excitement and capability and classification, then at least, best case, it's like a horizontal step to it's you just learning something new. But is there some of that? Does the high speed kind of bleed over even into things that aren't high speed, like as opposed to being in Delta Force, even just like, I'm sure being a pilot for Air Force One to being a pilot for a 747 for Delta just still isn't the same. Like, do you get is do you get that when you talk about transitioning?
Uh, a lot, just from other fellow veterans from all scopes, from your operators all the way down to those. I won't be too derogatory, but like the FOBITs and all that. But your HR, everybody has their own mission. But there is a large part many struggle with the transition. You go from driving multi-million-dollar vehicles or flying on helicopters, and now you're stuck on an interstate in traffic because it's a car wreck and you don't really know what to do but look outside.
Yeah.
So the excitement, yes. What I've had to learn is you have to rewire your brain on what makes uh, the excitement or the adrenaline rush. Many of the guys I know and veterans I talk to skydive, still go to the shooting range or out back shooting weapons. They try and find some of the positions that are out there, and there are. Many work for three-letter agencies that have those types of teams still. They still have the fun, still going that. Couple work for PMCs throughout the globe because it's hard leaving that stature where you're at, that adrenaline rush or where you work at, and then trying to come back. So, and it's a huge, I see it at the VA, talking to many guys, gals on that aspect of it because it's that why, that purpose, that mission that we had. And now it's, you get up today, what am I going to do? Yay, sit in traffic. Oh, I got to go to the food store. Oh, I forgot my list. I mean, which can be, a little bit adrenaline rushing depending who your spouse is. So, you may get home and get whipped or beat down a little bit, but
Yeah.
in the end, but it can be very hard with the transitioning on what you did and what you're trying to go to now.
Yeah, it's like that scene out of the Hurt Locker where the entire movie he's counting down to the days he's home, and then as soon as he's back, you're like, oh, he was never counting down because he wanted to. It was like, I'm back, baby, I'm back. Yeah, I mean, even I've had like some guys. Like I had on a guy who was like a mechanic, and he was like, yeah, there was never really any rush, and I'm just kind of. He's like, now I got a good like retirement fund, and I'm like, hey, fair enough. But I mean, even I've had on some PMC guys that know even talking about traffic. They're like, normally traffic jam, it's like your senses go up to 11 because it's like somebody blocked the road. Why did they block the road? Get on the 50. If we need to, we're gonna ram through this car with the front of an MRAP, and we today we might die, but it's like we're live. And he's like, now, and then what's even worse, it's one thing to like have the adrenaline rush and then to not have it and just be bored. What he talks about, which I believe is probably the kind of the transition to almost PTSD, is like getting the adrenaline rush when I don't even need it and when I don't want it. Stuck in traffic and I start to have a panic attack, but really he's like, I'm just stuck in traffic. Like there's not an IED. But it's gotta, I mean, I don't know. You could probably find ways to transition that adrenaline rush. I mean, I would imagine as someone who's not a father, I would imagine there's maybe it's not adrenaline rush, but it's an entirely different part of the brain, like the fulfillment of like raising a child or something. Or you could go adrenaline rush, I guess like entrepreneurial. You just
Yep.
want like let's gamble. Like there's got to be something in that. I mean, even I do this podcast and it's not being in Delta Force, but man, if the thing that isn't most terrifying is also the sweetest thing, of like I have no idea what the next year brings. There's no upper limit to there's no like pay cap. Who knows how, I could be a millionaire. I might also be on the street. Like there is, I hate it, but it's also just the most like seductive Sisyphusian like elixir. Like I have panic attacks. I hate it. And at the same time, sometimes I think I'm like $10 million today. I'm like, I don't even know what I would do with it. I would just keep doing the podcast. Like I don't even know what I'd do with it. But so how do you transition from that, from intelligence to where you are now?
So from both the intelligence and law enforcement side, that dumps, the rush, it's been hard. Um, when I did retire, it's like, all right, cool. I get to go golfing, I get to go fishing, I get to, spend time with the family and all that. And I'll just be honest, and many may say this, my first 8 weeks out was kind of a living hell. Um, I
Boredom
got
or
real dark. I
boredom or
got dark.
PTSD? Okay.
Yep. I do have that. Yeah, no sleeping at night, dreams, nightmares, all the fun stuff with that. But it was hell because I lost that sense of purpose, that structure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you do something for so long, it's ingrained in you. And now all of a sudden it's just like gone. So I didn't really have anything lined up, job wise, not knowing what I wanted to be when I grow up yet or the next chapter. So yeah, I got dark with the PTSD again, the nightmares from everything. And it was a real struggle. And then reaching out, trying to reach out at now to the VA for the right psychologist, psychiatrist, which we don't have enough time to go down that rabbit hole on the right help, on understanding or building the trust of what you're feeling, not just emotional, but your mind and body and everything. So luckily, I had a few mentors, close brethren, Dan Libby, Doug Rose, Bradley Gravos, Matt Jones, Brent Collin. We're on a thread together where we watch out for one another. Church, you're out there, Murtum. We're on a thread and just, hey, what's going on? You haven't sent a meme. You haven't sent some stupid. You haven't laughed anything. Are you okay? And it was difficult on trying to figure out what I needed to do when many will tell you, oh, your new purpose is family. And that's true. It is. My young boys and all that, but man, it was rough. I got dark. Luckily, I didn't turn to alcohol, only because I did have an early stage when I was in active duty where alcohol was my best friend
Mm-hmm.
of numbing the pain at night to sleep.
Oh yeah.
And I can tell you a lot of dudes struggle, girls and guys, goes on both parties, not just guys. But I mean, that's why the class six on every base is always filled and the most popular. Alcohol is the number one tool to numb some of the pain and get through what you have to get through on the compartmentalization of damage up there. But, anyways, yeah, my first 8 weeks out were rough until I was able to reprogram my brain in two things. One, what I wanted to be, finding a new position, which I did with complete threat preparedness. They gave me an opportunity to be a consultant doing some of the stuff I love and used to do. And then learning that PTSD is many people, and you'll see this all across our community, that it's you're fine, shake it off. It'll go away after time, and that it all depends on the person. Some people are really messed up with it, but some research has shown that PTSD can go away. It may for some people. I've had to I learned better to integrate it in my life. And by integrating it with my life, it has not held me back or down to where the darkness or when the demons sneak in. It's been able to live with it and live a full life knowing I have it. I tried the not sleeping, which all you medical professionals will hate me. There's like, that's not good. It's true, but it helped me write a book. It helped me get my PhD. It helped me do hobbies and stuff that I wasn't able to do. So I used it in a positive. And, I was able to help out other veterans too, learning the VA system and complications and words within there trying to file claims and all that and help out others that were about to get out or have been out that still need help and struggle. Dr. Grossman wrote a great book on combat, and it deals with a lot of the different levels of stress, gray area, purple area, black area, and self educating on that helped me with my mind battles. Because as soon as I got out, that structure is what we talked about, that compartmentalization we're trained to do, man, them walls start just coming down. And it can lead into a very unknown darkness or demons. And those that have that, they know it gets there. I won't say his name, phenomenal mentor, love him to death, brother of mine, called me up. He's getting ready to retire. And he had an incident with his family and he didn't know how to handle it because he's done, 30 years in the service. It's always known. And now he's getting out. And he just, one day, he went down a rabbit hole and the demons and all that. He's like, dude, I've never felt this before. I don't know what to do. I don't know how am I going to handle this? And we did. We talked on the phone for a good while, back and forth. And it is tough to make that transition. I wish the services transition program would be a little bit better. I won't totally dog on it, but of really truly understanding what they've gone through and what they're about to go through. And like I said, everybody's different on the official terms, combat trauma, complex PTSD, and all that. Everybody's different what they did. Operator syndrome to, again, your mechanic that you just talked about. Everybody's gone through some stuff, and everybody's been able to can make a good transition on the outside. Some are still struggling. Recent research I've looked at, most veterans or retirees, it takes 3 or 4 jobs till they find something they're actually okay with. I didn't say happy with. I said okay with, but they fill that void and gap, and it's rough, and it's also rough on the families. They think they get their person back, and next thing you know, they're seeing a whole new line of struggles. I mean, I love my wife now. I mean, when we met one time early on, the funny story she'll tell people when I was having nightmares because I didn't know how to handle it yet. I had her in a bear hug, and this is when we were dating in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Luckily, we worked it out from that, scared the living hell out of her. So she left early that morning and didn't hear from her for a few days, but she finally helped do the research as well and, help me where I need to be. So, and veterans helping veterans or retirees helping, it doesn't matter what you say, just being that ear because we get it. We understand. Doesn't matter if it was combat, doesn't matter if you were home station and something happened. Us sometimes they would just tell a story or use the least amount of words, but you can tell by the looks is huge.
Yeah. No, that shit's all so sticky. I mean, in terms of alcohol, I'm sober 15 months today, and on Tuesday it will be 11 years since I lost my older brother to suicide. So I know that shit near and dear. And I mean, alcohol is the best friend. It's a demon from hell. Um, but I you know on and off we would use it, not use it, and finally I was like, dude, this is just not good, and I dress it up as something good or something social, but it's just not. And everybody has a zillion stories about that, so I won't harp on that. But yeah, no, it's interesting what you said about using the PTSD. I mean, when I was in college, 2009 to 13, I was just a psychopath work ethic. I don't mean like work, I mean psychopath. Like, went to the University of Georgia, like, never went to a football game, like, didn't party, pre med. All I did was study. People would ask me if I was in the military, and I was like, no, I was just such an intense, crazy person. And it got me into medical school, which I was very proud of. But when I graduated, I realized I didn't want to be a doctor, so I kind of had like a weird midlife crisis. And then, like, within a month is when I lost my brother. So I had like a midlife crisis with an existential crisis, which just combined to 2 to 3 years of just unimaginable horror and spiraling down. And then I'd say 2 to 3 years because that was like the worst of the worst. Around 3 years, I moved home with my parents at age 26, And then it was still a horror for 5 years, but it was a horror that was slowly getting better through therapy and all that shit. Um, but what I finally realized with starting this podcast, and I started this podcast about a year before I finally moved, it's the reason I was able to move out, was for the first time. So I had associated that crazy work ethic with not enjoying life and like a Pavlovian response. And it was true. I chose to work and study. But so I would push that away and be like anything in that mindset of just instead of tracking how many books you read, it would be like read a book just to enjoy it. And like I tried that for several years. Don't worry about working out, don't worry about dieting, don't. And I think after 5 or 6 years, it finally dawned on me that I didn't believe a word of what I was saying to myself, and that I hated it, and that it was okay to work hard towards things, and but don't associate it with like being pre-med. Be like, yeah, you took it a little too far and you didn't like it, but don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. So I sort of like took that old operating system and then plugged it back in December 2019. I was like, what if I applied it to the podcast? Just did several shows a week instead of one a week. I prepped for them, made it the best I could, always improving thumbnails, audio, video, distribution. And it has been the chariot that has pulled me out of hell over the last like 5.5 years. And so I wouldn't say it's PTSD. I mean, I would imagine I have some from my brother. I also think everyone has trauma. I don't think there's a soul on this earth that doesn't have trauma. I think military, especially, but so I feel weird calling it PTSD. I think it's more of just like, yeah, it sucked. But I kind of look at the crazy person I was, and I don't try to push it away anymore. And instead, I'm like, this is who I am. I just, I love being intense. I love working. Again, this episode 1726. Like, I just love pushing it forward, right? I started a game stream a couple years ago for fun. Just hits episode 700. Like, there's no like middle ground of like, but to me, it's as opposed to college where it was miserable. I thoroughly love it now. Like I said, I'm sober. I'm my own boss, and I think it's probably the most realistic path out of that was to use the psychoses, the trauma, the whatever to get myself out instead of trying to push it all away. You kind of got to judo it in. It's like the wind is going that way. Like we're on a boat, put up a sail. It's not exactly where we want to go, but if you cut and shit, you can kind of get moving in that direction as opposed to just being like, oh, I don't like the wind. And it's like, okay, that's all well and good, but we're stuck at sea, which is my mom would always say it when I was at kind of in that weird period forever. She was like, you're just rudderless. And she's like, as my son, who is like a workaholic, that's not good. Um, and then the whole fulfillment of it all. I've used this podcast to talk to a lot of veterans about just like we are right now, and they open up about it, and I've put them in touch. I've had guys on that run like nonprofit like therapy centers for veterans. Really, like they take them out, they all go fast and shit, and you can do a lot of good from it. But in terms of sort of pivoting into just using it, it's a lot more realistic. Could you kind of go into what you were, if that's at all near the mark of what you were saying about using your PTSD and incorporating it as opposed to just stonewalling it and go, nope, I'm not touching that because it's not, as I know and as I think you know, it's not a, it's not a, it's not a feasible solution. It's for a little bit, and that might even come back to, well, what happens when it really starts pushing through the wall? Well, then you soak yourself in alcohol. Okay. Well, if eventually you remove the alcohol, you got to go, how do I deal with that thing? And it's maybe you got to start talking to the elephant in the room instead of being like, you're not there. You got to start being like, all right, dude, what do we do? You're here. How do we make this work for both of us? Like, could you go into that at all?
Truth. Oh no, you said it perfectly. My early on, it was nothing was wrong with me. Compartmentalize it, hide it away. Work was work. It was great. Did that structure, do the mission, do the training, do everything. Come home, and there was times in my career where I was like, all right, it's starting to seep through. Here comes the demons. Alcohol
Yeah.
will numb the pain, or high risk activities, motorcycles, sky, something to fill the gap or void for, you would try and block it out. It's like if I don't think of it, or if I'm filling my life with stuff, it's not going to be there. It can't happen to me. And oh yeah, there were bad times when that was happening, and went through my first divorce, which just added on to everything. And you put it perfectly. You have a certain ethic, a work ethic or drive, and next all it takes is you have that ethic, and it goes into some of your emotions, some of your thought process. So you go through a divorce or whatever, then it's kind of like, okay, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why did this happen? Why do I got to do this? And then those
Why did my
demons.
brother take his life?
Oh,
Instead of analyzing
yeah,
like an organic chemistry test that I didn't do well on, which is good because you should examine why you didn't do well. Then it starts for 10 years. You start going, well, what did I do wrong? Never mind the fact that I have two other brothers. Never mind the fact that suicide is I love my brother dearly. It's a decision. Suicide is a decision. He was 27 when
yeah.
he did it. He wasn't a child. We start going, well, how come that? What did I do wrong? Oh, I'm a bad brother. If I forgive myself, no, you're trying to get away with it. What did you do wrong? And then sorry, I'll stop interrupting you, but like you said, and then that work ethic, what happens when that flies into your emotions? Well, for me, after my brother died, I took that OCD workaholic perfectionist and I just applied it to how up, how frequently could I get? How drunk and high could I get? I'm gonna be the best degenerate. Like, sorry, keep going.
No, you hit it on. One big thing that you hit on is so now you're feeling this, but then you have all these other outliers coming in. In your situation, I've had a couple of close friends commit suicide. Uh, I can tell you, I'm pissed at them right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I will be mad at them until my time has come off this earth. And then when I see them, if they're upstairs or downstairs, no matter where I go, I know I'm going to see them. I'm going to punch them. The first thing I'm going to
No,
do.
I'm
So,
gonna knock my brother's teeth out.
yep. If it's at the pearly gates, I'm probably going to go down below afterwards because first thing I'm going to do is punch them like you jerks. But it goes back to, and you hit it, those outline influences. you know, it's like, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you call him? You're his best friend. You're his wingman, his ranger buddy, his every. Why didn't you know? Why didn't you do this? Why? And human nature, we suck at accountability. Period. It's deflection and why or something else, and all that creeps in even more to where now you have that guilt syndrome. That why wasn't it me? Cool, I went on one deployment, came back, but mine didn't. Why was his turn, not mine? And a lot of the questions for me, again, self-educating. Dr. Grossman, a lot of great books. Um, Ranger, psychiatrist, wrote a lot of great books. But self-education helped me to get my mind right to fulfill on flipping a lot of stuff like, why wasn't it me? Why am I going through this? Why does my life suck? Why do I have that? To change it, to I had to flip that around to, and it took years. I ain't gonna lie. It wasn't like, oh, I did that, but it was like, what can I learn from this? When I flip those two things, why is it happening to me? To what lessons am I supposed to get out of this? What lessons am I being taught right now? What lessons am I being put in to either help myself or somebody else? When I slowly got to that mindset, I was able to make a difference in my life, not only physically, emotionally, but also intellectually as well. Because nightmares still have them, but I was able to control them better. I know it sounds weird, but I was able to live with them and control them better to where it wasn't the severe ones. And then utilizing those lessons learned, and then it just pushed me again. It gave me new purpose and drive. Why does this happen to me? No, what lesson can I learn from this? Well, I could have done it better this way. Now let me go change my work ethic and fix it. Let me rewire my brain and fix it. Um, it's good. I'm not saying it's a catch-all for everybody because every once in a while the demons creep in. Oh man, they creep in. One of my brothers goes through, brother in arms goes through something. It's every chance that comes in. A couple veterans I've talked to, I've had one call me drunk as hell, pistol in his truck right next to him. He's like,
Mm.
I got nothing. And it's like, well, hold on. you got something. I mean, you called me,
Yeah,
so
there's
there's
something
something.
there.
So, but I love helping my fellow veterans and even law enforcement too. Law enforcement, first responders, with some of my research, same stuff going through. I'll talk about law enforcement here in a little bit because I think they have it worse than military in a ways, but it's hard even to this day. I just had a veteran I was talking to last week, and I have to catch myself. Luckily, I have a great supportive network and my wife and family on top of that because yeah, those demons will creep in real fast. And I do have occasional drinks here and there and able to in moderation, and it's fun. But even with that, I can sit there and stare at it and just like you said, the floodgates open. You can compartmentalize, and the human brain is so significant in that a lot of things. But after a while, them walls break down. So the how I explain it to my boys and even my wife is sometimes the puzzle pieces get knocked loose, and we just got to get them to fit back in where they belong.
Hmm. Yeah, it's for me. I would always I'd go on like a bout where I would, like drink once a week or something, and that might go on for like a year where I'd drink it like Friday nights, and then I'd have a particular experience where I'd kick it away for a couple months, and I don't know how many times I did that over the years or like a decade, but finally, like a year and change ago, was just like, yeah, I can't, I can't, and I just accept that I'm like, I can't do the moderate, I just can't, and I'm gonna just stop lying to myself. Um, but one thing I'd say that's kind of helped about losing a brother is, and both my other brothers say the same thing. It's helped in that it's given me a form of like emotional resilience and like a depth of courage that I never would have had before, and that there is sort of a, I mean, life is still hard, has all of its challenges, blah blah blah, but other things that might have stopped me from doing something. Like, it's like, is building a podcast hard? Yeah, you got to put in all the work, you got to put in the app, but it's not guaranteed. All the any entrepreneurial whatever. But a big thing that might hold you back that you can't really work through is like, well, what will people think? Or what if it doesn't work and then I'm just that guy that tried to do it and it doesn't work? That part has been completely vapor, like those trees in the old atomic bomb videos, just vaporized by losing my brother. Like, all the other things are very real. Still got to work hard, blah blah blah. But the whole like, well, what if someone doesn't like it, is nothing. And it's not that I've taught myself to not allow that. It's just not there. The same way that as a 34-year old, I'm not scared of the dark as I was when maybe I was a 4-year old. There's no courage of like, well, I don't care anymore. Now you're laying there. It's like, are you scared of the dark? It's like, no, keep it dark longer. Don't let the sun come in. I gotta sleep. Like, you don't even give. It's not something you have to even consciously think about. That part of me has given me a sort of courage to move forward. And when other things, like I got banned from YouTube for interviewing a bunch of doctors at like the height of COVID, banned from iTunes, like there's anger there because it's like, you, and like I got to keep working, but there's no like overwhelming like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? You just like, I don't care, dude. And it's not even a conscious thought, but the basis of it, the foundation of that courage is like, I've experienced so much worse that I can't even pretend to care about this. Like, I can't pretend to care about like a movie that scared me when I was 5. I'm just like, it's not there, man. Um, in terms of that for you, and this is a bit of a stretch, but I don't know. I'll apply my own thing to it. Whenever things in the world seem like they're really getting hairy, like when Russia launched that Oreshnik missile, when they tried to blow Trump's head off, or even COVID. Sure, there's fear of like, oh man, this is World War III, maybe this is the breakdown of social order. But even there is a part of me that's just like, I know extreme pain, and I don't want to do it again, but I know that I'll survive it if it does come. And then the other thing is, and I might not. The end. Okay,
Here we go.
whatever. Okay, whatever. Hey, God, you're bringing me home. Hey, yeah, man, I was ready to tap out anyway. So take me home, big guy. That's like another thing where again, doesn't mean I don't. It doesn't mean like I wish it doesn't happen and I pray for a better world. But when something's like the world's collapsing, part of me is just like, again, I mean, do I still have food and water? Like, yeah, man, okay, whatever. It's like, all right, like, I don't care. Has any of that helped you? And this is where I'll make a bit of a leap. When you do view things about like the alien new landscape of AI or semi-peer intelligence AI or even AGI or nanobots or like a global control grid or like Starlink, like does any part of you go like, yes, that's weird. Maybe there is like some supercomputer antichrist somewhere, but I've been through worse. Does any of
Oh yeah.
that pan over?
Oh yeah. All the time. My wife calls me a robot. Excuse me.
She calls you a
My
what?
wife calls me a robot. So
Yeah,
she's like,
yeah.
you have no emotion whatsoever. I say, I do.
I do.
I
It's just
do.
it's reserved for the real. It's observed for like I will be there for my brothers and my parents. It's
Yeah.
reserved for that. I
Yeah.
don't I don't hand it out like candy to every
Mm.
little thought that comes in my mind.
And no, and it's with that, yeah, is our world. And it's funny, and I don't say much because people like start looking at you like, "Oh, you're a conspiracist." No,
I am.
I mean, to be honest, we don't know anything about us or our world or where we can go and what we can do. And that's what makes it so cool sometimes, on where we want to go. Again, I can't wait. Let's jump into this. Nanotechnology, AI, all this stuff. Phenomenal. I love it. Let's do it. We were supposed to have this chip back in 2001. I remember growing up, like, we'll have flying cars. We're going to have Terminator robots and all this stuff. I'm like, this is awesome. And here we are in 2025, and it's like, dude, what happened? Where are we at with this stuff? We're so far behind still. But I'm so excited for it. And some people are like, what? You're excited for it? Yeah, why not? Well, it's taking people's jobs. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it. If you look through history, Great Depression, war, all that, we can go through
Yeah,
numerous things
that's
that we
not
learned in
yeah,
school.
that's
That
not
we
an
learned in
argument.
school.
Yeah.
So, but now there's two things with this that I do fear. And, fear of dying. Nobody ever wants to die. Do I have a fear of it? Not really. If it's my time, it's my time. I don't want to go earlier than what my time is, because I want to see. I haven't even begun to scratch the surface and see what we can do. But my fear is, with all this stuff, there's 2 points. One, I love it. Let's use AI, quantum computing, nanotechnology, and all that.
Jump
Cool.
in.
We shouldn't have cancer. We shouldn't have AIDS. Someone that fell off scaffolding building something can go in and have a whole back replacement.
Yeah. Like
Bam.
it's
You
like
know,
that original sin Puritan Catholic guilt of like life should be hard and like not no, I mean, if we can have fusion energy and nanobots, like that's okay.
we can make life easier. Food,
Yeah.
building, medical. I'm all for that. But the problem with that is, I call it the triangle. So there's one. Second part is criminal activity, evil. Oh, AI. How can I make my malicious code better? How can I hack the Pentagon? How can I hack the credit bureaus or company and all that? How can I import and get into people's podcasts or do this A, B, and C and D? How can I use this for criminal intent instead of the good? And then the point of the triangle, which I get in trouble for, is fine. Then you have power, greed.
Yeah.
Who wants power and greed?
Of
You
course.
can, and
If
I'll
you
be
don't
nice
if
here,
you don't
label it
factor
as,
that in, you're brain dead.
yeah,
What?
looking at big industry partners. I won't name names, you know who they are. Governments, countries, all that's up there in the power and greed on aspect of it. And that's why I said why we haven't even begun to what we can really do, because the human brain is so in tune and we don't know about it yet. I mean, if we can figure out how we can use our whole brain, because every scientific fact says we only use a partial amount of our brain. That's awesome. Let me figure out how I can use my whole brain, and let's see where this shit takes us and get crazy. But with technology, it's like smart cities. My book, some people read it and like, dude, you're full of shit. Uh, it's not going to happen. I said, it's already happening. It's already happening. Some places it's been happening way before us here in the United States. I mean, the UK has had CCTV, smart city theories or stuff in place for years. And with the smart cities, that's why I said it's great. You know, response times for law enforcement, response times for medical. If you're a small business or a restaurant, you can use smart city data, metadata on, ooh, what should I do? How many people come here? What should I have on my menu? I mean, you can do a fountain of information with the data that comes out. And to me, I'll say right now, if you want currency and everything, the next currency is data, metadata.
Yeah.
And you got big companies that know this already. That's what they're trying to go for. That's the next currency what the world's going to trade on. But there's so much we can do with technology, and it's phenomenal. But it can also be scary as well. Very scary. Smart dust, nanobytes. I mean, we can go on and on what's going on.
Give me 2 seconds. I got to piss. Tell everyone where to find your book. All right. I'll be right back.
Cool. No problem. You can find it on Amazon. It is on Amazon Publish. It's in hardback, soft copy, and also ebook for anyone out there. And it tells a lot about just with the techniques in smart cities, what they're doing, the opportunities to enhance urban living, improving efficiency, sustainability, and quality of life for citizens. It's written and tailored more for the security profession or the EM professionals out there and how to utilize it in a positive way for their industry or organizations or for their governments. But it's looking at the new technology innovations and how we can and go forward with that. But nope, you can find it on Amazon. It's called the Critical Imperative, Smart Emergency Management in Smart Cities. I'm on LinkedIn as well. A lot of my articles with that are about the ecosphere of security and emergency management on what we can do to better align within industry or federal or your government system to become better at what we do. So I call that ecosphere because technically security and EM, it's a living organism. Either natural disasters, man-made disasters, stuff happens around our world every day. So having a foundation or understanding that security and EM is a living organism is going to be able to mass produce a lot of counterattacks on what threats are out there. And the threat spectrum is getting wild, wild to this date of what's going on out there. Many of you have seen it already between the executive protection increase because the CEO got popped. Your social media influencers and podcasts are now taking threats on what you can use. Human trafficking is surpassed the drug market by 5 years now into multi-billion dollars. So there's a lot of stuff out there that we can use for technology for the good.
I have the bladder of either a 2-year-old or a 102-year-old, so I don't even apologize for him. I'm just like, yeah, it's part of the show. Off.
It just go. See, you just got to get the thing we used to have in the military, man. You just slip it in, it goes right out, right into like a bottle or a jug. You don't ever have to
well,
get
that
out.
is like the final form of this podcast. Is I like I merge with the chair, like like an IV drip of glucose, like water straight down from a hamster wheel, full astronaut system, where I just stream myself 20. It's not even a podcast; it just becomes my life, like a broadcast Truman. That's the final dystopian kind of Warhammer 40K end to this life. But
yes, let's
yeah,
go.
yeah, but yeah, the power and greed thing that's what that would be such like a silly thing to not consider. Just like I mean, it's like well, this. First of all, like I taught myself graphic design when I lived at home, and I kind of on a whim decided to do podcasting, and now I'm like, oh yeah, that would have been eviscerated by AI as it has been. But it's also like, yeah, no, the world marches on. He doesn't. I know, and like the worn example is like horse buggies, but that's what it is. It's just doesn't mean I don't have like empathy. Like, yeah, it's gotta suck, you know. I would imagine I'm probably not that far away myself from this podcast getting swallowed whole by AI. Especially if you could just take 1,700 hours of me talking, you could make a pretty accurate Tommy. I might not even be replaced by something else. I might be replaced by generative Tommy, which maybe I can get a license to, in which case it'll be mine and I'll make money. But it's just what it is. You don't have to.
Deep fake.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be okay with the sun rising. It's on a level that is so much bigger than you. It's just like it just is. But I do. I mean, like all things, I mean, nuclear power is probably the most perfect example of near limitless energy from something like the size of a baseball or thermonuclear war, and it's like the truest example, like of the sword and the shield, or the sword or the butter knife. Is it can be the worst thing ever, or it can truly. I mean, and we don't use it because there's a lot of money in not using it. We use it where it matters, aircraft carriers, and it's starting to be used on. I think Amazon bought all this like land next to a nuclear power plant for to run their clusters. I'm gonna text you an article right now actually, that I hawk like a religious zealot. But there's never been like a truer example than that, or something to where if we really use nuclear, not even fusion, not even like a tokamak thing, something that we have right now today, you theoretically could use it to grow vertical farms, desalinate water, do all the energy intensive things that would destroy resource scarcity on this planet. Now we don't because we're humans, but it can happen. I guess that's how I look at the coming wave of kind of like a Ray Kurzweilian interface of super AI with nanotechnology, metamaterial, super AI for intelligence, nanotechnologies and metamaterials for interfacing with this world, and then fission or fusion to power it. So infinite power with infinite metamaterials combined with infinite intelligence. Could that lead to a dystopian world? Sure. No different than Cuban Missile Crisis. It's also it's the only way we're ever going to escape the bonds of like the human condition. It makes me think of that Hunter S. Thompson quote: "Faster, faster, faster, until the thrill of the speed overcomes the fear of the death."
Yep.
And that's how it's just like faster, faster, fast, and it's like, yeah, I mean, you gotta want it. You can't have any second guesses if you're on Delta Force, right? You can't be like, well, I wonder who's behind that door. You got to be full, like, black eyes, like a cat when it sees a bug. Like, you got to just move forward, and you might die. But I think that's kind of how I view everything we're talking about. Is it's always been there's always been a potential for a dystopian outcome with every technological paradigm shift on the planet. I mean, from Gutenberg to now. That's not new, and therefore it is not a reason to hesitate when moving forward. And lastly, I would say it doesn't even matter if we hesitate. The same thing that Truman said when briefed on the theoretical possibility of an H bomb. He said, could the Soviets do it? And they said, yeah, given enough time. He said, well, then we have to do it. So even if we all come to terms and we have some snap election, we all agree we're not pursuing artificial intelligence. You think China's going to be like, well, America said so? They don't give a. So I don't really know where I was going with that. I'm going to text you this article. You
No,
obviously
you
don't look
you
at it
hit
now.
it. I mean, everybody wants more to get to, their end state or end goal, and everybody has that. I mean, we're taught that in the military, we're taught that in law enforcement, we're taught that in numerous entities of our life and all that. Of you know, what's your end goal? Okay, this is our desired end state or desired end goal. So how do we get to it now? Backwards planning, timetable, and all that to get where we want to do. So now you take that at what you're talking about at a strategic level. You know, I laugh because people I talk to, they don't all know this. China's got a 100-year playbook, and they've been
Yeah.
following it to the T. Many
Since
people are like, no, they don't. They have a
1949,
100-year
right?
playbook
Yeah, the
to
100-year
become
marathon.
world dominant over the
Yeah,
whole globe.
100-year marathon by Michael Pillsbury, former or deputy secretary of defense under Reagan.
And it's like they have that. So, where are we at for one, our community, our economy, our nation for it? There's so much stuff out there that we're trying to get to that, we get a little bit too sporadic of what's going on to where we need to come back and take a relook at it. But you hit it perfectly. With change, there's always going to be pain with change. Nobody likes it. A lot of people try and stop it. But when you would rather have a voice in change to make the right change on the way ahead, maybe more beneficial than, and I've seen it many times, HOA, school board stuff. Nope, not going to do it. We're not going to make this change. It still comes. It's going to happen because somebody's going to figure it out how to make it happen. Real estate developers, biggest one. If the towns or cities like, no, we're not doing that. So unless you make these changes, and they're like, we're not going to do that. It's going to cost us multi-millions of dollars. Okay, cool, fine. We're not going to do it. So their biggest change is hurdle. Like, okay, we got you. They'll do a whole new thing to the state for a rezoning commission and rezoning of that land, which changes the whole parameters of what they do. There's always a way someone's going to figure it out. But either you can be part of it or you're going to kind of get left behind or you just watch it.
And best case scenario, you can be like an Amish person or like a monk, where people kind of out of their kindness, like the kindness of their heart, allow you to go live that, you know, old fashioned lifestyle and not go conquer you. No one's letting Tibetan monks. Well, I guess China isn't. No, we don't let the Amish. You could say, "What do you mean you let?" The reality is you're letting the Amish. You could very well go in there, start throwing up Walmart, start throwing up internet cafes, and you could destroy legally. Not even like with a standing army. I mean, we let the Amish. It's what it is. You don't have to like it. It's just what it is. We let them live. Best case, if you don't plug in, if you don't keep working, if you don't push this forward, best case is someone allows you to live as like a quaint harkening to the past. Some, I don't know, like Luddite zoo. It's also something I would not hang your hat on. You think China's gonna roll up and be like, oh, they've decided that they don't want, no, 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 no. Oh, they're gonna come in and bulldoze you with the fear of God. But this is all I would say. There's two ways to look at it. There's that fear, or there's also like, you also don't have to be beaten into submission and be like, you must move forward with the Silicon agenda. Like, no, it could also mean like, maybe you don't have to die from cancer. Maybe you don't have to go hungry. Maybe a veteran doesn't have to get a prosthetic leg. Maybe you can get a real leg. Or even, you know, mental health. Why can't we look at today's mental health? How come one day we can't look at today's mental health the same way we look at like pre-germ theory medicine? We'd be like, dude, wash your hands. Like, it might just be something like that. That's unimaginable to us now. The same way transoceanic air travel was to people pre-Wright brothers. But one day it might be something as simple as like, oh yeah, you got strep throat, yeah, you got to go get a Z pack or something. It might just be like, oh no, you come from a long line of clinical depression, like, you should probably get these blood markers checked. They're like, yeah, no, you go get this, and that kind of puts it like, I truly believe mental health can be figured out in the same way that we just kind of flippantly be like, oh yeah, you got to give him some penicillin. Like, it could, why can't it just be that? Like, why can't we have that vision? So it doesn't need to just be, plug in or you're gonna get rolled over. It can all. It's not just the stick. Like, it can be the carrot as well. I don't really know where I'm going with this. I'm just rambling.
No, you're talking about ownership. So, like a plank owner, you can be part of the solution. Everybody gives their opinions, everybody gives their research, everybody gives their values, and we can make that change into something beneficial. Where if you don't, where one person, say CEO of an organization, he's deciding to make all these changes and not asking any input from the floor workers, hey, we're just going to do this. And it becomes evil. I mean, you can have chaos. That's a basic standard anarchy chaos theory that's out there. And you hit really good points on that. Where can we, at organization, nonprofit, veteran community, VA, where can we come together to voice the opinions, voice what we have for the change? Hey, I tried this, it didn't work for me, but you did this, it worked for you. There's so many different methodologies out there that we can do, and some of them we've forgotten. You hit it perfect with medicine. When I saw grandma's like, have a teaspoon of honey, you'll be fine for allergies or for this. That holistic approach, which many disagree with on all that, because nowadays we have big pharmacies. Oops, sorry. Just take this pill, you're fine, or take this, you're good, or take this. Oh, and it's kind of like, wait a minute here, hold on, why? How about I just go get some fresh air, or let a cold take it run its course or do A, B, and C. So it's kind of hard on what you're. I get your point on saying, there's some out there that have. I'm not going to say, hell with it. There's some out there that use the mean girl theory or the bully theory. Like, yep, you need to do this, have to do this, got to do this. Instead of going, what's right, what's best, and how can we achieve this together and move forward in a better way.
Yeah, no, I mean, and a lot of things, big pharma is as corrupt as any cartel, and they butt people immorally. No, it's just what it is.
Yep.
There's also, I would argue, there is a lot of room for, and I really do. I mean, for me, it's like the main pillars of like what I do for mental health, aside from like sobriety. 8 hours of sleep, non-negotiable. At least 20 minutes in the gym, weights and or cardio. Like shower, like clean yourself, like shave, clean clothes, meditate and pray. I try to listen to an hour of an audiobook a day, and I text both my brothers and I call my mom. Those are just like the things I do. And like if I still get sick in there, okay. But my point is the advancements also do allow you to try out those quote unquote holistic things. Like in 1850, if you got the flu, I mean, there was like a good chance that was it. Versus now, if I get the flu, I don't have to immediately go out and work. I can just go. I'm gonna let this run its course, and I got to cancel shows for a week. My head's pounding. I'm shitting nonstop, but I can let it run because I'm not worried about dying from it. Because for all of their flaws, there's also a lot of good modern medicine. I know if I start having like sepsis, like I can go to the hospital.
Yeah.
I would say that there is sort of that umbrella to where advancements in like I don't know, like genomic medicine or the gut brain neurotransmitter axis or all that also does allow you to. It doesn't mean that you have to plug in and use that for depression, but knowing that's there, it's kind of like a life jacket to go, we'll do that if you need to, but right now maybe you should just get 8 hours of sleep. You haven't seen your friends in a while. Like what you saying earlier about, make sure your friends are texting you memes. I text my two brothers a meme every day, and it's just like a sort of ping of like, I'm alive and I know you guys are alive.
You good?
But it's just a ping. I think that's kind of one of the ways to look at like medicine is not that you have to plug in because yeah, Pfizer will take some depression treatment and absolutely rape it. It doesn't mean it won't be good. I'm sure Pfizer produces a lot of things that are good. They're also a company made up of humans, and humans are, we're corrupt. But I think by having that sort of umbrella would allow you to be like, I'm not gonna pull that fire alarm just yet. I'm not gonna break that glass in case of emergency. I'm gonna try to maybe lose some weight, maybe phase out alcohol. Maybe I should stop smoking cigs at lunch. Like it allows you to do these things versus now we kind of don't know what causes this and how bad it can get. So versus now you're almost a little less comfortable because you don't know. You're like, what is this just like a normal random bout of suicidal ideation? Because I get moments of depression that don't come from like, well, hold on, I haven't drank in a year. All my bills are paid. I still get moments of like scary demons that I don't know where it comes from. And
Triggers.
so, but my point is like, I guess that's how I view about the upside of like, well, it's good to know that, hey, the year's 2150, and if it does get really bad, you can go get this therapy, and yeah, Pfizer's going to kind of rape you for it. But like, hey, we've pretty much perfected turning off suicide. That's how I look at it. Is in the meantime, though, try the grandma, get a spoonful of honey, maybe go pet a puppy. Like it might be that. You know what I mean?
No, you hit it perfect. It's for me, and the ones that I know have been better is one first, understanding your triggers, figuring out your triggers. And it doesn't matter if you're in combat, law enforcement, first responder, normal person, everybody has a trigger. Understanding what your triggers are, you can do a couple things: avoid them, integrate them, or live with them. But understanding your triggers, and you hit it perfect. So you need 8 hours sleep, gym, all that. So your releases or your vents, cool. Going to the gym, love doing that. Love reading books. I love the college part, the academic doing research. But after a while, you catch yourself those vents. You're going to the gym for an hour, but you still have those feelings. So now you're doing 2 hours or 3 hours. You have to shift those vents on what those triggers or events that you have to find that. Because after a while, you know, sleeping 8 hours ain't doing it. Doing that, going to the gym's not doing it. Reading's not doing it. So I got to find something else to do. Okay, meditation, yoga, skydiving, or like many people I know, the veterans, even law enforcement, high risk activities to help fill that gap or that thing. And maybe just for a short time, to where they can get back into what they call their baseline structures and all that. And that's the hardest part.
One thing that has kind of helped me is accepting that all of my like daily routines and habits. The best way I can describe it is like being in an airliner at cruising altitude. There is certainly not the excitement of taking off, and it's our turn to taxi, and you push back in your seat, and it's rumbling, and you're like, oh, and you're taking off, and when you first take off, it's like every 2 seconds you're doubling in height, so the subjective change is it's happening a lot. Something exciting is happening. Even landing, and you're coming in, oh, boom, put on your seat, your ears popping, you're coming down. There's even something to that, and you hear like the engines go in reverse. Those are both kind of exciting things. But you can also, for me, it's like I can only go through them so many times before I realize like I don't need them, and my need for them is because I'm glossing over something inside. I look at cruising altitude more like, yeah, it's pretty boring. Let's just be very honest. It's boring. Like, I'm not gonna. Some people are like, well, sobriety is not. No, 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 no. Sobriety is boring as. I'm a white Irish Catholic. I miss alcohol. I miss it dearly. Right? Just what it is. Just shut the fuck up. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I've never. I love it. It's the best. But I just also know that by accepting that it is boring, instead of lying to myself and being like, no, 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 no. I mean, it's boring. On a Friday night, I'm like, what was the point of the work week? But I look around and I go, okay, I'm at cruising altitude, doing 5 episodes a week, doing a game stream every night, getting new guests, always growing by just a little bit, a couple more views there, a couple more subscribers there, growing the network just a little bit, and fleshing it out for 5 years. Okay, and what are you doing at cruising altitude? Even though it's not as exciting as taking off, you are going like 4 to 5 times faster. You're going like 500% faster at cruising altitude. Well, for me, someone who is, there's only so many things you do about the podcast that you can do. Like working out. Sure, there's a barrier to entry on like learning what exercises to do if you've never done it in your life. You got to learn just your basic, nutrition. But you should eat this much, don't eat that. Sleep, injuries, all that. You should probably get some good clothes. But after you do all those kind of like main things, there is no other secret other than you just have to do this like 4 days a week for 10 years now. And now you can take shortcuts. You can do steroids. Hey, there's a lot of downsides to that. That'll f you up. That's how I view my cruising altitude now. Is like, it's boring. It is. But I'm gaining more ground per second than I would during those exciting times of taking off and landing. I'm personally not going through my problem with alcohol wasn't depression, it was panic attacks the next day. Okay. I'm getting things done that I know I want to get done. I'm building the podcast. It's clearly something I care about. And there is no other shortcuts. I'm doing everything else. It is, well, if you've done everything else and now it's just a time game, you probably want to be at cruising altitude for the longest period of time, right? Because that's how you're getting to the thing. And don't lie to yourself about what it is. Be like, no, 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 no. It is, even at cruising altitude, even the weather's pretty like undifferentiated. It's just like dark to like bright blue to like gray. Like there's no, it is boring. What, you get up, go to the bathroom, okay? It's boring. But I've done enough takeoffs and landings to realize that those thrills end and that they're pretty empty. And that right now the cruising altitude is getting me to something that it's far better than the takeoff or the landing. And it's the destination I want to go to. My destination right now is podcast makes enough money that I really am. I'm comfortable. Right now, it's still scary. There's nothing, never more than a couple months guaranteed. My goal for the podcast, enough that it's my job, enough that I can find a girlfriend, I can have a wife, I can have a family, and that ultimately I can use it to. I do want to do good in the world with it. I want to build up the platform, just have fun with it. But that's kind of how I view that. Is like, so when you're saying like, what happens when it doesn't do it anymore? There are some days where I do the 8 hours of sleep, do the gym, do the book, do it all, and I'm still just eh. I just accept that, like, yeah, sometimes it's eh. What do you mean? But I did everything. Yeah. And you still feel like dog shit, huh? Yeah, I'm kind of flat. What do I do on those flat days? I stay at cruising altitude. I go, all right, I'll go to bed. I wake up the next day, and then a couple days later, all of a sudden, I'm like back till I'm like, yeah, a year sober, doing this, I'm doing that, and so I don't know. With those things and like what happens when your routine isn't enough, you just sit with the it's not enough. I'm at cruising altitude. It kind of sucks.
You hit it perfectly because it's like you made the great choice. So what I mean by that is that cruising altitude, you're there, it's boring as hell. It's like being an MP or law enforcement. When we have a boring day, which drives us insane, that was a good day.
That's a very good day. And there
Good
are
day.
days that you will
But
wish to be
people,
at cruising altitude.
yes, people don't understand that when being an MP in law enforcement, that boring day, even though you're so built up, that was a good day. Everybody's coming home. But now, like you were talking about, that cruising altitude is great. But many, when it hit that decision making point, didn't go for cruising altitude to this health, sanity, success. They chose that thrill, that emotional, like, and Dr. Grossman put apart that emotional roller coaster on. I like that thrill. I like shooting guns. I like skydiving. That's how far down can I go before I have to pull that parachute. I like scuba diving. Um, uh, had a friend, hey, I'm going to Thailand. Let's go have some fun and do some high risk stuff there. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, just be careful on that aspect of it. But
Yeah.
again, some people they hit that rut, or even after cruising altitude, they want that thrill again, just that little bit. So you may take off the cruise control button and just press down a little bit, just to get that little feel. And the stewardess and flight attendants are like, "Whoa, what happened?" It's like, "Oh, nothing, nothing. We got it, we got it." But now you kind of have that little sensation. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm good now. I can go back to cruise altitude. Or you like, let's go a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Cool. And you put it, it's like for drinking. How it used to be is like, I'm just gonna have one drink. Oh, everybody's here. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Shots, let's do it. All right, just one. I can't do fireballs, tequila, just one. Boom. And next thing you're looking around. I got Jim, Johnny, Jack, and Jose, and we're having a great time. And it's great hitting. And congrats again, making the choice on that cruising altitude to where others, and they can live that lifestyle too. They love that thrill lifestyle. And you probably have friends
Oh yeah.
that do it
They do it and they do it
nonstop.
well. I have friends that they're not even degenerates though. It's like they're doctors and lawyers, and I'm like, hey, me, like
And it's phenomenal. I
yeah,
got
go
buddies that
yeah,
do that too. And it's like, hey, that's cool. But what I have to, and again, going back to the why me, why they get to do all that and I do it. I'm gonna ask the question is, why are they doing it? What are they giving up to do that? What have they done that they have to do that or continue doing that? I'm not saying not have fun, but again, though, you start getting to the real big high risk activities. And we've all been there. You start looking at drugs, you start looking at alcohol, you got high risk sex activities, you got hookers, all that stuff. You got, okay, yeah, you're jumping out of planes. Yep, you're not looking at your barometer. You're saying, oh, that ground looks fast. How long can I wait? You go scuba diving. Cool. I don't need a cage, but I'm going to pet that giant shark coming at me. I want to see how far I can get. You start pushing yourself, your thrill seekers and all that. There's a difference between thrill seeking and seeing how far you can push yourself, the human body or human performance, to pushing yourself to, I don't care if I die. Two differences.
Yeah, and it's so yeah. Looking at friends that do that stuff, we have to realize is like, yeah, they're not broadcasting the demons because none of us do. And there's also another part of me has to go. They might not have. That might be my own insecurities projecting it on them. Go, well, if they're drinking, they've got demons too. It's like they might. I know some people that are just like they're just better than like they're smarter, they're taller, they're nicer, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think there's a skeleton. I think sometimes you pull up to another car at the stoplight and they're just faster cars. Like, so it's not like, well, what are they? It's like sometimes it's a Maserati, and hey, it's okay to be jealous. What a cool thing to look at. What it is. Sometimes they do have issues. You go, well, it's a Maserati, but they're in deep with some loan sharks. Okay. Ultimately, it comes back to the ownership, though, of like I don't have to look at why other people drink and wonder, do they have demons or do they enjoy it, or I have to go, what does that have to do with Tommy? And the thing about what you said about just diving the plane down a little bit, I did that for a while. Like, and when I drank, I always have to clarify this, not because I don't want some stigma. I don't give. I was still only drinking like once a week. It's just I drank to excess. I was never someone that like drank every day, but to me it was still an issue. And I would go for periods of a month, 5 months, 7 months, whatever, of being sober and kind of. But the thing is I would hit cruise control or cruising altitude, which is the thing I wanted because there'd always be an impetus to why I wanted to pursue that. Bad panic attack, not doing, not managing money correctly, not, shirking responsibilities, whatever. There's always a reason to go. I just want the boring cruising altitude. Please, God, give me the boring cruising altitude. And then I would hit it and I would stay up there. And then eventually I'd go, this is boring. And then I'd self sabotage. But even that, like, I did that cycle several times of like sobriety to self sabotage. And I was like, I'm kind of getting addicted to this now. And I think Anthony Kiedis, the lead singer for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, said it in his book Scar Tissue. He's going talking about all the times getting sober and going to rehab and checking himself in. And he goes, after like the fifth time, and each time it's as sincere as ever. You're going in there going, I'm gonna get better. He goes, I started getting addicted to breaking addiction. He's like, because it's great. You're at rock bottom. You're talking to God. You're on your hands and knees and you're begging your loved ones, your family member. And he's like, you start to get addicted to that like coming clean confession, catharsis of surrender. Of hey, I'll sign the thing. You put me in until I'm sober. He's like, I started getting addicted to breaking addiction. He's like, and then that became a thing I had to break. So even now, like being at cruising altitude now, it's not that I've never been at cruising altitude. Like I've done the cruising altitude several times and then been like, yeah, it's nosedive. And like it is fun. But I've never done it and then been like, that was worth it. I always go, fuck. There's a reason why I wanted cruising altitude. And it's because this sucks. This is painful for me. I'm causing pain to others, people that love me. And like, and so that's like a huge thing of what you're saying of like, well, I don't care if I die petting the shark. Losing a brother to suicide has also made me realize why I can never do it's like a catch-22. If he hadn't done it, I'd probably never have even gotten close to that spot myself. But because he's done it and I've seen the effects around me, I know I'm like, yeah, suicide's not a personal thing. It is because it's you and your life. Man, you're just taking all your baggage, all your luggage, and you're throwing it on someone else, going, thanks. And so because of that, that's kind of where the cruising altitude comes back to me. Is there sometimes where I go, this is so boring. The podcast is doing fine. I have savings. Why don't I just get blind drunk? And then I'm like, because I know where that road leads, and I don't
Vegas,
exist in a
baby,
vacuum.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, I'm like, I don't exist in a vacuum. I have two brothers and I have two parents. and I was in a bad spot for a long, long time, to where I know that they were fearful of me taking my life. So I'm also like, yeah, it's not a victimless crime.
Nope,
I
because now when you take that nosedive, you got passengers. And many people, I'll say, shit, I did it myself. There was a point where I was thinking about the passengers I had, my daughter, my ex at the time, not even thinking about it. Nope. Nosedive time. Here we go.
yeah,
Woo! And it's, I can eat a bowl of Cheerios with Jack Daniels in it and we're good to go.
yeah,
I'm functioning. This is great. But no, when you hit those and it's hard and the boringness is there and you try and find those thrills, but you can find those thrills in a way where you still keep that cruise control and all that. And that's one of the hardest to do, but a lot of what we're talking about, it all comes down to choices and decisions. And it's, when you get to it, it's trying to make that choice and decision. And again, it's not why is it happening to me or, your brother condolences, why did he do that? Instead, the question is, well, what can I learn from this?
well, yeah,
And I'm at this. I worked a lot of, law enforcement and military doing suicides. One thing I never fathom, and I get it, human side in this, but why, when somebody does that, we praise them. When you hear the eulogy and all that, he was a good man,
yeah,
a good, she was an awesome spouse, she was an awesome mother. She would give her back on that. Not you hear all this stuff, all this positivity. You praise them. People have, rededicated roads, sidewalks, buildings to them. But it's kind of like, I understand that from the human aspect side, but then on the other side, it's like, no, no. They took their own life. They left behind a daughter or a son. They left behind a spouse. They left behind a family that have all these questions of why, of gaps and holes and mental blindsidedness that they're never going to get an answer to. But let alone when, again, like any death, you celebrate their life, you do this, you do that. And it's like, it's so funny seeing that. I used to get so mad at that when I had to work, put them together or do that for the families. And I'm like, I see what the family's struggling through, but then, oh, he was awesome at work. He did this, he would do all that. And it's like, yeah. Um, the second point, like my wife, I love her to death and I hate her. I hate her. She is the nicest person in the world. Her heart is so big. She is the nicest person in the world for anything, especially animals. I'd have a whole farm if it was up to her. Nicest person in the world. Someone can do her wrong, she'll be nice. She'll be upset about it. She'll vent to me about it, but she is so nice in heart. And there's days, even in my struggle demons, I wish I had a percentage of what she had when it came to that. Because there's days, and it's hard. And you can ask Dan this, with the transition and stuff. It's hard talking to some people where the only thing running through your mind is, I just want to throat chop this person right now. I think I can pick him up and I think I can throw him 20 feet. It's what runs through your mind is so hard on certain things, and just human stuff. But that's what I think what you mean on a lot of things. And for me, that cruise control is awesome when you can reach to it. But again, knowing and understanding how to get there and what you have to do is a hell of a choice. And lately, I'm not going to say, oh, the new culture, the new society, the new society, they're weaker now. No, we said that about our grandparents and all that. The culture and dynamic, though, has changed, and I've seen that firsthand. If somebody fails, they're done. They give up. I can't. It failed. It didn't work. Nothing. To where it hurts them of achieving. And again, that comes up with the culture, the style you're raised. If I fell off my bike, I love my mom. She's like, well, you're fine. Get up. Do it. It's funny how that aspect works to where nowadays, they fail once. It's like, I give up. I can't do this anymore. It's like, okay, what did you learn from that failure? Move forward. move on. Life sucks. Life hurts. Life, not everybody has a silver spoon. Even those that do have a silver spoon, you don't know what demons about it, but life sucks. But here's the cool thing about it: we get to choose what we want to do and how we can do it.
Yeah, no, I guess for me when I look at, I don't even disagree with you about laziness and giving up. I also think that every person who's ever lived and any millennia always thinks like, oh, the kids these days. It's like that will go forever. That'll go. My grandparents' greatest generation. I'm sure their parents are like, you kids in your radio, and I'm sure their parents were like, oh, Model T, this magic car. Back in my day, you had to feed your car. It's called a horse. It's like that goes forever. Um, and also, but in terms of like people being like lazy and not following through, I'm like that helps me. Podcasting, oh, you gave up, good, less competitors. I kind of look at it from a cutthroat way. I'm like, good. Um, I did. I mean, I'll never tell anyone to quit, but if I see people, am I gonna sit there and go like, no, I hope you can keep competing with me? No.
Oh no, I'm gonna beat you.
Yeah. No,
That's
but
what I
I
see.
love when I see other people doing shows over the years. I love because there's nothing of you. You always, I think Chris Rock said, so if you're on the side of the highway and your car doesn't work and you wave down help, no one will ever help you. But if you start pushing, people will come by because they want to see someone who helps himself. So I get that entirely. But you know, about the suicide thing, about the praise, it's no, I get you because you're so angry at them and you hate them so much. I think for me, it's like, but 51% of your heart loves them, and you're so angry at them,
Oh yeah.
but at least 51% of you loves them. And so you're gonna go out there and say, I miss him every day, and he's a great man, and you do mean it. You can be angry, but it's almost like you and the siblings in the family. I talked. We talk about that. We reserve that for us. Like that's private. Um, I think also, getting there. Like I almost moved when I moved home. It's because I was on like at the edge. I was ready to go, and I realized over the years of like kind of feeling suicidal after my brother died to when I actually started to become truly suicidal. I was like, oh, there was like earlier I was like sad and wanted to give up. When I actually kind of got close to that, it's not even related. It's like you're on a drug. You're not even here. You're not even thinking. It's there's getting drunk and letting your tongue slip, and then there's getting blackout drunk. If you get kind of drunk and maybe say something to someone, okay, that's like your true self talking. There's also a point where it's no longer your true, like when you're so drunk you're just like, hey, you don't even know which way's up. Like you're not actually angry at the microwave. You're just so drunk that it's not even. Versus if you're 2 beers deep and you maybe make a comment, that's you coming out. If you're so drunk, you're punching the mic. You're just an idiot. Um, so when I look at like my own kind of subjective experience, quote unquote, being there, is sort of coming out of it. Now looking at that years later, I'm like, oh, there was no, you know, that I was either okay or not okay with hurting my family. I'm like, I wasn't even there. That was a different language. Like I have. That's like saying, when the pharaohs built the pyramids, did they think at all how that would look as Facebook profile pictures? You're like, what are you talking about? It's 5,000 years before the internet. That's 3,000 years before Jesus. Like, what are you talking about? So, from my own experiences with kind of getting close to that edge, I mean, you might as well be on a psychedelic. So for me, saying that is like, so I think that's why my heart still goes. I'm still angry at them, but I think that's where my heart goes to, like loving and praising them, is because like it's like you've got, by the time you're even there considering it, like you've gone over the waterfall. Like
Yep.
you can't be like, do you know you're gonna hurt your like you're over the edge. Like you're not at that point. The only thing to do is grab them and try to pull them back. And if they can't grab them, if they've already done the deed, you can't bring it in your heart to be. You can be mad at them, but the overwhelming feeling would just be like, Even if you accept that like there's nothing you could have done and you accept that it's their responsibility, which takes years to get to, you
Oh
can
yeah.
still look at it and go, it is just a shitty like I live in downtown and every once in a while I'll see like, it's like a homeless person just like screaming at this guy. And sometimes you're like, shut the up. And then like right? And a lot of times I'm there. And if ever you see like sometimes you'll see people say, hey man, can I have a couple bucks? And you're like, sorry, dude. They're like, you. You're like, man, that guy. Sometimes though you see like a crazy guy screaming at the sky at 3 in the morning, and there's like an ambulance there, and you can see like the EMTs are trying to like help him. There's really nothing else to do. Just be like, God, say a prayer for him, man. That guy's. I think that's how I look at suicide. It's like it's not even a. You're just like, I don't know. There's nothing to do but like throw
No,
your heart out to it. Doesn't mean you can't be
you have
angry.
to.
Doesn't mean you can't be pissed. That's all well and good. But to comment on why do people pray? I don't because it's the only thing that makes sense. It's the
We're
only
human.
modicum of control you have is to say I'm gonna say I love him instead of I hate him. I don't know. It's an unanswerable question. Quantum physics is easier. Like you know.
What's the qualitative data and research behind it? And the only reason why I bring that up is, I had many conversations about it because it's, you look at the second and third order effects. Now that we have the internet, we have social media and all that, when you have someone like you said yourself on that edge, on that brink. But I see it, well, he did it, she did it, they get praise, everything was good, all that.
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's always that second and third order effects, even with like technology, what we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier,
I'll be
with tech.
remembered. I'll be loved. I'll be yeah.
And then now you're solidifying where you're on that edge, where you may not have been that close. You
Yeah,
maybe had a step or
now
two.
it's ideation. I'll be remembered. No one will look at me as a poor loser. They'll feel bad for me.
They won't see my failures, but
Yeah.
praise me with my success. That's the only thing I look at. Like I said,
Yeah.
my heart always
Can yeah,
goes.
no, I see what you're saying is it doesn't mean that you can't feel love for them, but it's like what effects does it have? You're right. You mean there's someone else here that's gonna go, okay, given enough years, my siblings will move on and forgive me, and then the you're right. And if that does lead to more suicide, then that would be an objectively bad thing or it'll be an objectively bad thing to broadcast.
Yeah.
You could feel it in the privacy of your own home or the privacy of your own thoughts, but maybe not to broadcast. Yeah.
But again, it goes, let's talk about tech. You take that, what we just talked about, and I'll say to you next. Now, not saying anything, podcasters, influencers, social media content creators, whatever you want to call them. Love your podcast. You're up there with Joe Rogan, Sean Ryan, But let's talk about just content creators and social media influencers. We're becoming some of the world that these people, they, by doing the content and all that, that's the world they see. That's what they live. That's their drive, their ethics they wake up to every day. But is that the real world? Is that the real thing?
Hmm.
Now you have the second, third order effects. You have these young kids, teenagers, even adults seeing these content creators, seeing these influencers. I want to be like that. I can do that. I want to do that. To where, you know, where have we gone as a society for that? Have we gone for the better? Have we gone for, OnlyFans, content creators, half naked women, dad bods only, uh, pranks, all this other stuff, skits, to where why don't we have an algorithm for content creators doing the good of the world?
I think it's back to the nuclear fission. When I didn't go to prom, I literally would stay at home because it's what I did most nights, and just read Wikipedia about like what's the Bilderberg Group, what's an Area 51, what's the CIA been. I don't know. I could have been looking at porn. I could have been swept up. Who knows? Maybe when I was 15, I could have got preyed upon. But instead, I just learned a lot. Well, what do we do with this? It can be OnlyFans. It can be brain rot people, or it can be, I love there's certain YouTube channels that you go to, and it's just guys that I don't know, like they only cover, plans that were contracted and written out for the Cold War, but they decided not to build. Just like planes that were never built but were approved. Like there are whole channels just on that.
Mhm.
And it's just brilliant. And I look at that and I go like, I'm 34 now, but like, yeah, I could see 14-year-old me doing that instead of trying to like sneak out and get vodka. Like I didn't drink till I was 15 or 16. Most of my friends were drinking by like 11. I'd argue a lot of it was because I was just doing other shit, like playing basketball, or I was using Wikipedia to be like, what is the CIA? Like learning about that. Like, so I mean, like, yeah, what do we do with that? I think those are people that the people that are using OnlyFans were people that were gonna go do whatever, some low hanging fruit dopamine rush, and I think that the people that are using it to learn, like, you know, every day I listen to an audiobook at least an hour. No one made me do that. I don't even know if that's something you can learn. I think it's just who you are. What I could also do with that hour and a, high speed bandwidth on a touchscreen phone is I could look at for porn in an hour. I could look at porn for an hour. I could look at mind dead Instagram reels.
TikTok videos for days.
That's what I mean. Is like I think who you are. I think you were gonna do that without like whatever it was you're gonna do. I mean, I have friends that have gotten sober and I never said a word to them about like me doing it. They just did it. They just woke up one day and were like, yeah, it was maybe better for me to not do that. And I'm like, that's amazing. I think those people were just going to do that. I think the people that used, the beauty of the internet for TikTok, I think if you took that away from them, man, and it was 500 years ago, I don't think they'd be going, oh, the Gutenberg press is used. Now we can all read the Bible, or now we can all learn about Copernicus. You'd have people 500 years ago that were just essentially reading the same, like OnlyFans on like parchment. Like I don't know. I think you have low hanging fruit, you know, retards doing whatever. Dude, I got piss again. I'm drinking so much water. Dude, I'm sorry,
No problem.
but we do need to schedule another one because I would actually like to talk about like just the coming singularity of technology that is unfathomable.
Oh, it's out there and it's coming quick. Many of us don't know it or understand it, but I mean, it's in plain sight that
Yeah,
it's happening. But no, just let me know. I had a great time with this, and it was just
it was a blast, man.
phenomenal. So you did hit a few points. I mean, kind of touched my heart a little bit on a few of those, but
Good.
it was amazing on that. And I'll get the book out to you. So
No, yeah, I'll text you my address. And yeah, no, I was gonna say about kind of like talking about like mental health and all is so back to the algorithm, the internet, OnlyFans versus Wikipedia. That's kind of like my ultimate is how I look at the podcast. I'm like, I have fun with it. It's illuminating. I learn. I have authors. The best thing I feel like I can do is take the pain of what I've been through and the pain of subjectively what my brother went through and use that and talk to other people about, and then God knows who's listening to it. Most people that listen will never, they were just passive listeners. I don't know who they are. I guarantee you someone somewhere has heard something, even from today's show, and it has helped them in whatever mental scenario they're in. So it's like, it's what you make of it. It can be TikTok reels, or it can be like heartfelt discussions like today. It's
yep.
it's 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 what you make of it. Yeah, I'll text you my address. I'll text you the Spotify will be up today. Rumble will be up like tomorrow or the next day, and yeah, we'll definitely do another. So we'll wrap this shit up, dude. That was fun. I appreciate your time.
No, I greatly appreciate all that. And like I said, we any way we can help those that have been through, I just say trauma, no
Yeah,
matter where you are.
yeah,
Um, it can get really dark and really scary, but you never know who's right there reaching out to help you and pull you back into the light.
yeah, yeah. It's there's a funny meme I like where it's like a skeleton and he's got like two revolvers and electric, like a five-headed electric guitar, and he's on a skateboard. It's just like the meme of like cool. And he does, today sucks, tomorrow might not suck, the only way to know is to be there. And at the bottom it says like, here's like the suicide hotline. But I just love it. It's just it's like a pirate skeleton on a
Might look that
skateboard.
up.
Yeah, and he's like, today sucks, tomorrow might not suck, the only way to know is to be here. And that's kind of
Yep.
how I look. It's like a light way of like, that's it, you're right, it is. It might, it might not suck tomorrow. So, but dude, I appreciate the talk. I appreciate you opening up. I'm sure we helped somebody. I know it helped me. So there's at least one person. Um, but I appreciate your time. We'll definitely do another one, and we'll actually, I don't know, we'll talk about technology next time.
Sounds good, brother.
All
Like I
right.
said, thank you, everything. Make sure everybody out there is listening. Uh, no, next time we're gonna hit hard in the tech.
Yeah, we'll go down the nanobot shit next time. All right, brother. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Thank you so much for watching.